Welcome to another video, and I use a pun on another because I'm at an art installation called Another Place. So that isn't a bloke stood in the background, it's a statue, and it was made by Anthony Gormley, who's quite famous for kind of Angel of the North. But this is another place just up the coast from Liverpool city centre. I'll show you in a second. But on the beach there's about 100 of these statues. They're life size, so 6 foot tall. And as the tide comes in and out, some of them disappear. Some of them are closer to the kind of the promenade, so they don't disappear completely. But some, just as the tide's been going out, start to appear. And you might be able to see they're peppered all along the beach, and I absolutely love it. I think it's fantastic. And just to give you an idea where I am, Liverpool is just around the corner there, and one of my previous videos I filmed at Perch Rock Lighthouse, New Brighton Lighthouse. That's just over there. There's the Wirral, there's North Wales, and that's Liverpool Bay. So what I'm doing is I'm looking for nice compositions with these iron men. Some reflections. Cloud is kind of quite broken up, so you're getting light beaming through. But at the moment, I'll just show you what I'm doing at the moment. So I've got this Iron Man here, and I don't know what is some sort of sea structure, signalling system or something. But I've gone for a composition. So I'll brighten this so you can see what I'm doing. But you can see there's a nice reflection here, reflecting the sky. Sky's quite nice because of that kind of broken light. But I've got one of the Iron Men, about my rule of thirds, and then I've got that big post thing, whatever it is, about on the other rule of thirds. And I'm underexposing just a little bit. I'm on F11, I've focused on the Iron Man, because I want that to be the kind of prime issue. But I'm just taking a few snaps, and what I'm actually waiting for is hopefully a bit of a gap so you get a bit more light in the background. But quite pleased so far. There's a couple of other photographers about. It's not sunset for another hour and 20 minutes or something. So I'm going to have a bit of a wander up and down the beach, and hopefully find some more Iron Men to take photographs of. I've moved along the beach a little bit, and I'm glad I put my wellies on, because I'm I'm standing in the surf, and the reason I'm standing in the surf is I want to get an image. So this guy is, as you can see, he's still up to kind of his knees in the sea, and you might be able to see, I don't know if you can, there's another guy just beyond who's up to his shoulders in the water. If you get a chance to come here, do. It's fabulous. I just love the way that the statues are revealed as the tide goes out. But what I'm trying to do is get an image of this guy in the foreground and the waves coming in and the sky. I think the sky and the waves reflect each other, and I don't mean reflect each other in terms of the light, I mean reflect each other in terms of the pattern at the moment. So I'll just show you what I'm up to. It's quite dark, but I'll give you an idea. So hopefully you can see the guy's down here, so it's going to be very, very small in the frame, but that's deliberate. And then there's this lovely mottled sky, but also the water is mottled as well. So what I'm trying to do is create an image, and I'm just putting my focus button, or I've pre-focused on the guy, so this will just give me a light reading. Just over on the guy, I should think of a name for him. I want kind of darkness in the sky with the light poking through, and a bit of that light picking up on the waves, and hopefully that works out quite well. What I'm trying to do is give the sense of isolation of the statues in the surf, if that makes sense. So I needed to come while the water was still lapping around his ankles. So, and you probably can't see them on the GoPro, but there's other statues up on the sand. I didn't want the ones on the sand, I wanted ones in the water. Although some of the ones on the sand, there's nice pools around them, so I might have a look if the sky gets a bit more colour in it. But at the moment, I'm going to focus on this. What? Oh, cranky. So, sorry, I've moved a little bit closer, but I'm I'm breaching the depth of my wellies. So the water has gone over the top of my wellies a little bit, but you know, bit more gone over. But I wanted to get a little bit closer. You know, that's what we do. Every time it's going over, it's quite cold. So just wanted to show you something that I'm trying to do. So usually for an image like this, I'd go maybe f9 or f11 and just focus on the Iron Man, and f9 or f11 just to get enough depth of field to make sense of what's going on around him. But, so I've got to swap handles, sorry about this. I'm actually on f22, and I am focused on the Iron Man, but I'm on f22, you can see there, and it's given me, water down my welly, a fourth of a second. And the reason I'm doing that, I'll try and show you. So I'm going to take the image. The reason I'm shooting f22 is I'm trying to get, without using any filters, I'm trying to get just some movement in the waves. Not a massive amount, but just enough to show that they are waves moving. So f22 obviously closes down the aperture really small, so it's a very small hole, so it doesn't let as much light in, so it allows me to have a slow shutter speed, and that gives me enough movement in the waves just to demonstrate that something's happening. But I'm going to experiment with that a little bit more to see if I can just get kind of the right balance. There is a little bit of trial and error because the waves obviously come in at varying speeds and all that type of stuff, but I'm going to give it a couple of bits of experiment, and then I'll post the images and wring my socks out. Oh, there's a big wave coming in. Oh. You can probably see I've moved right behind the guy. I should give them a name, wasn't I, other than Guy? Well, I'll call him Anthony, or Tony, because Anthony Gormley made them. What I'm trying to do now is take an image, because obviously he's facing that way, of him kind of looking out to sea towards the sunset and watching the approaching waves. Sounds a bit arty-farty maybe, but I quite like it. So I'm right behind him. Actually, I might need to move a little bit. Oh, I'm going to move. Hang on. Need two hands to do this. Sorry about that. So I think I'm now right behind him, looking at his butt. And I want an image of him looking out to sea with the waves coming towards him. I'll have to set this up again, so it'll actually be useful to show you what I'm doing. So I'm trying to get him slap bang in the middle. So I'll just use my eyes to get that slap bang in the middle. So bear with me. Right, he's slap bang in the middle. So the reason I did that, it's easier to get something in the middle if you look through, I can't remember what this is called. What is it called? The viewfinder, sorry. If you look through the viewfinder and use your focusing points, it's easier to get in the middle than it is using, or I find it is, than using the live screen. Anyway, I can't make up my mind whether I like an image where he's quite large and central to the screen, or an image where he's relatively insignificant in the screen. So I'm going to take both. And I genuinely can't decide which will be best. So I'm going to take both. And then when I get and process them, I'll be able to do a compare and contrast. But I'll put both in the video so you can see which you prefer. I'm not sure, but it's a little bit of an experiment and we'll see how it goes. I've just put my polarizer on. The reason I put my polarizer on is there's a little bit of blue in the sky, and I'm using my polarizer just to kind of deepen that blue, and I've talked about that in previous videos. But the clouds are moving quite nicely. The sun's still not down. The sun will be down in about another half an hour or so. So there's some quite nice light shining onto those clouds. So I'm going to take some images while I've got the opportunity. Well, I don't think I'm going to get a spectacular sunset because sun's down in about 15 minutes and there's a kind of big bank of cloud on the sky. But there's been some lovely colours up. I don't know if you picked those out on the GoPro. Lovely colours up in the sky, moon's up. So I've been working on some of those colours. It would have been nice to get kind of a spectacular sunset, but can't always win those. P&O ferry just heading off, I guess to Ireland probably. But lovely shapes in the clouds. And I've been focusing on Tony. So taking a few images, primarily to try and get the sense of him looking out to sea. In fact, I've not even been around the front of him. And when I say him, there's got obviously more than one, so I've moved around from one to the other, but they're all exactly the same. But I might just take one now with the ferry because I think that'd be quite nice. So let's have a look at that. Let's see if we can get the ferry in, because I think that would get the balance right. Ferry on the horizon. Just so here's the ferry, rule of thirds, perfect timing. Oh, there we go. Ferry right on the rule of thirds, Tony right on the rule of thirds. It's almost as if I planned it, isn't it? That's just pure luck. But hopefully that turns out quite nice. The wind's really picked up and it's going quite cold, so I think I'll probably pack up. It's only going to get dark now. I don't think there's any kind of spectacular light show going to take place, so I head back along the shore, and if anything catches my eye before I get back to the car, I might take one or two, but that might be it. All done, all packed up and ready to go, and ready to head off home. It started to get a bit cold, sun's down, just looking, no real colour in the sky, so I think probably a good decision. So not far home. As the crow flies, if I had a hovercraft, I could probably be home in about 10 minutes, but I've got to go round and through the tunnel under the Mersey, but it's worth a trip. If you ever get a chance to come and see Anthony Gormley's Another Place, come and have a look, it's great. Although it can be a little bit disconcerting. You keep think you kind of look over your shoulder and you think, there's a bloke stood there staring at me, and then you realise it's one of the statues, but it's one of the things I like about it. So if you get a chance, pop down. So that's the end of the film. Hope you've enjoyed it. Probably relatively short this week, but hopefully some nice images. And if they are nice, they're the sort of things that go well on stock agencies. So fingers crossed, I got some good ones, and they sell at some stage. So again, as I always say, any questions, drop them in the comments below. It's great. Every time I post a video, I get loads of questions, loads of comments, and I really do appreciate it, particularly when people take the time to watch the films and then give me a comment or offer some advice or ask a question. Really appreciate it. And I'm only a couple of subscribers away from 500, so thank you all so much for subscribing. I really appreciate that. When I started making these films, I thought if I get to 100 or 150, that would be great. So it's lovely to be close to 500, and hopefully it continues. And as I say, really appreciate all your support. Probably next week, weather permitting, I'll probably be out in the hills again, so stay tuned for that one, and see you again soon. Cheers, bye.